Good morning. Okay, so today we're going to take a closer look at stressed and unstressed syllables. We're going to have a quick reminder, and then we're going to move on to looking at rhythm, unstressed, stressed in sentences. So first, let's take a look at these sentences, or these words: beginning, absent, and dynamite. Okay, so when we have stressed and unstressed, the U equals unstressed. And this means it's a word that it's a syllable that we kind of slide over. We don't give a lot of oomph to it. Whereas a slash represents stressed. That means that it's a part of the word that we open up our mouths wider for, we say louder, we say longer. So if we say the word beginning, when are we doing it? Beginning today. The easiest way for me to figure it out is by trying to say it wrong, trying to hear, because you don't often hear it when it's right, but you definitely pick up on it when it's wrong. So in the word beginning, is it beginning? Beginning. Beginning. You'll hear that we tend to pause, say long, say loud, the middle. So beginning. When are we starting? We're beginning tomorrow. Notice the beginning. The gin is where we really put that emphasis. Absent. She was absent today. Is it absent or is it absent? You'll notice that you have to pronounce the ab longer and louder than the other word, than the other part. So it is absent, not absent, not absent. Dynamite. This is really dynamite. We know that there's going to be at least one stressed in there, possibly two, depending on where it is. So dynamite, dynamite, dynamite. Dynamite. It seems like we put the most stress right here on the die. That's the loudest part. Because we rarely have two stresses next to each other, that probably makes the na unstressed. So now what we got to figure out is the might. Is that something else that we kind of go up for, say longer, say louder, or is it something that we kind of slip over? Oh yeah, it's really dynamite. It's dynamite. Dynamite. You'll hear that it sounds better when we pronounce it. So it's going to be dynamite. Okay. So once again, that's stressed and unstressed. And you can tell by the basic syllables what parts are stressed and unstressed. Just like words have parts that are unstressed and stressed, so do sentences. And so we're going to start taking a look at those. So let's take a look at the sentence, it's time to go to lunch. Now, when I take a look at these, I look for a couple things. I look for multi-syllable words, because usually then I can kind of do this and figure out, a starting point. Unfortunately, we don't have very many of those in this. In fact, we don't have any. So the next thing I look for are little words. These are prepositions like the, is. Generally, not always, but generally those are going to be unstressed. And one I see is to. I have a feeling that that's going to be a U. But to test it, I'm going to look at the words around it. It's time to go to lunch. Lunch seems like a pretty loud word, a pretty important word. So that's going to be stressed. So I'm feeling good about this. If this too is unstressed, odds are, not 100%, but odds are this one is also going to be unstressed. It's time to go to lunch. We're probably not going to have 3 unstressed in a row. So I'm going to say go is stressed. It's time to go to lunch. To go to lunch. To go to lunch. You'll hear that I stress this go and lunch But the twos I kind of just roll over. In fact, I don't even really pronounce the two. I kind of pronounce it ta. That's a clue that it's probably not a stressed syllable. Okay, so it's time. It's time to go. It's time to go. It's time. Time is a word that sounds like it's going to be stressed. It sounds important. It's time. It's time! We're probably not going to have two stress next to each other because that's going to sound like the last phrase I just said. It's time! That's too hard to have two stresses right next to each other. So this is probably going to be unstressed. So we've got unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed. It's time to go to lunch. When I am taking a look at sentences, these are the things that I'm keeping in mind. Little words like the, is, to, and, those are often going to be unstressed. They're little words, but same thing with ing, er, es. Endings tend to be unstressed. Not always, but tend to be. In fact, ing is so unstressed that a lot of times we don't even say it completely. So a lot of times we're supposed to be saying I'm running to the store. I'm running to the store, but we don't even say that. We kind of say I'm running to the store. So that's a hint that if you don't pronounce all of it, it's probably going to be an unstressed. The other thing is it's rare, not 100%, but it's rare to have two stresses right next to each other just because it's too hard to say. It does happen, but it's rare. Because words would sound like that all the time, and that it's stressful. So it's rare. The second thing is it's also rare to have three unstressed right next to each other. Two unstressed is fairly common, but three unstressed means you're hardly pronouncing everything. And then that's mumbling. People can't hear that. So it's rare that you're going to have three U's next to each other. It's rare to have two slashes next to each other. And endings will often be a U. So with that in mind, let's take a look at this sentence. We finally get to relax. All right, I like to start with my multi-syllable words. We finally. I can hear the fine. Finally. Okay, that probably means, since we don't have two stresses next to each other, probably means this is going to be a U. Final. All right. Do we say finally, or do we say finally? Finally. I don't think the Y gets stressed here either. So I think we have a stress, unstressed, stressed. It's rare to have three U's right next to each other. And when I look at two, it's another word that tends to be unstressed a lot. So I'm going to go that this is probably a U and get is probably stressed. We finally get to relax. All right, so that brings me to relax. Do we relax or do we relax? I feel like I'm ready to relax. Relax is going to be stressed. This is probably going to be unstressed. With we probably don't have two stresses next to each other. We finally doesn't sound right. So it's probably going to be we finally get to relax. Afterwards, we'll celebrate at Dewey's. Afterwards, we'll celebrate at Dewey's. Afterwards, we'll celebrate at Dewey's. Okay, I'm going to give you a second to pause this video and see if you can figure it out on your own, and then we'll go through it. Please pause now. Okay, so hopefully by now you've started up the video again. Okay. Afterwards, we'll celebrate at Dewey's. Okay, I'm going to start with Dewey's because I'm pretty confident in that one. It's Dewey's, not Dewey's. So this is going to be stressed, and this is going to be unstressed. At. At is a pretty small word, so I'm going to right now go with that as unstressed. Okay, we celebrate. We celebrate. We celebrate. I think we sell, which probably means this is unstressed. We celebrate. We celebrate. We celebrate. I hear an emphasis on brate, which means that's probably stressed. Let's take, I have a feeling this is going to be unstressed, but we'll hold off on that. Actually, we'll mark that. Afterwards. 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 That doesn't sound right, definitely. I think it's going to be after. Afterwards. I definitely hear a stress on the words. So what we have here is stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed. Okay. Let's go for our last one. Again, try it on your own, and then we'll go through it. I'll give you a second to pause. Okay, let's go over it. All right, first thing I'm going to look at is wearing. Ing tends to be unstressed, and wear tends to be stressed. Now I'm going to go for pajama. 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 They all sounded weird except for this one. Pajama. I'm going to hold off on day. I have a feeling it's stressed, but I'm not completely sure. I am wearing, we probably don't have two stresses right next to each other, and am is a pretty little word, so I'm going to go with I is stressed. I am wearing my robe. I am wearing my robe. I am wearing my robe. I think this is going to be unstressed and stressed. I'm wearing my robe today. I'm wearing my robe today. I think the day is stressed, which means the two is unstressed. For seems like a little word to me, and we're probably not going to have two stresses next to each other. Pajama day. Pajama day. Pajama day. It sounds like day is stressed. So here I have stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, unstressed, stressed. That kind of breaks the pattern. Unstressed, stressed, unstressed, unstressed. We've got two U's next to each other, and then stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed. So what I'm hoping you'll notice is that we're kind of gaining some patterns, not perfect patterns, but it's kind of getting close to patterns. We're going to continue this, bringing this into Shakespeare and bringing up why we care about this later. But thank you much for your time. If you have any questions, please let me know.